Welcome back to the Ministry of Truth. This is going to be a different one from the Ministry of Truth. You need to understand that a lot of this is conjecture, opinions, and shit from indirect evidence. Okay? We're having a serious discussion here. This is a serious discussion that even the politicians have all the time. Okay? Crap, I just sat on the laptop. That everybody in the world's been having. Okay? You need to understand that 215 countries all agreed on the same thing, and a lot of those countries want to kill each other. But why is all of this information that I told you in the first two parts of Arcane Chaos, why is it so hard to find? Why is it so hard to sift through the bullshit? And why did the government keep such things secret? Okay? Why? Why is it that nobody knew that for 12 years Canada and China were exchanging viruses for vaccine research? Why? I mean, it sounds like such a good thing, right? That we can work together to work on that shit? So why is it a secret? Well, let's get into it. And this is actually due, and the reason we're having this conversation as well, I'd like to add, and a credit to, is Edward Snowden. Okay, because a lot of information that I'm about to talk to you about right now would not have been possible if it wasn't for Edward Snowden. So really, when you think about it, the secrecy behind COVID-19 and the pandemic and Edward Snowden are in a way interconnected. So we're kind of having two conversations here. And that's what I mean about Arcane Chaos. This is the shit that we've needed to deal with for a very long time. Okay? So, why? Because, very simply, when researching a vaccine, you are doing what is known as virological research and development. And that falls under a biological agent. Now, why is that important? Chemical and biological agents, research and development for military use, often involves researching vaccinations as well, right? As this is considered a defensive requirement for our troops. That's why they get so many damn vaccinations before they get deployed. On the other hand, this chemical, biological agent research is controversial, as it also involves researching and weaponizing bacteria and viruses. This is done because our enemies do it as well, and it is vital on a global front to be, at least in par, or at best, one step ahead of such enemy research. It don't matter what country you're from, right? That is why, while many nations support the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, chemical and biological weapons, and nuclear weapons, even the most staunch supporters are afraid to let go of all their research because it leaves them at a strategic disadvantage. This is why things like the government leak about Canada and China trading deadly virus samples back and forth for over 12 years sounds bad to the public, but is a necessary evil on a grander scale of things. This is why the United Nations exists, and it's why it has a Security Council of countries that are not friends with each other in the way that we would understand the word friend. Okay? The permanent members of the Security Council are Russia, China, United States, France, and Great Britain. And then every 10 years, another couple of countries gets to join the Security Council, but they leave and it goes to another two countries. Those five remain on it permanently. And that is necessary for world non-destruction. It is necessary to our survival as a species for the Security Council itself not to be fighting with each other. It is understood, and therefore it's understood, that certain secrets about how we protect our people must be kept from the people we are protecting. You following me? Look at Edward Snowden. In 2013, he disclosed to the world so much information about how the governments of Canada, the United States, and many parts of Europe aim to protect their citizens, that the effects of the leaks are being felt to this very day. Now, I'm not lying about that. He disclosed about how the American National Security Agency collects phone calls, text messages, browser and search engine history, emails of people all across the world, including from American citizens and its NATO allies, myself included. He also disclosed that in 2012, one of Canada's spy agencies, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, or CSIS, for those who don't know what they are, and no one blames you for not knowing what they are, they work pretty close to the chest. CSIS deployed tracking software in 2 major Canadian airports. This software would attach itself to any device that uses Wi-Fi. And then that software would download, install onto your device, activate your Bluetooth, and record every other Bluetooth device that you come into contact with for 2 weeks. Does that sound familiar? That was in 2013. Our governments denied that accusation even to this day. Our government denied that what Edward Snowden said, and they denied having such software, including, and this is true, early on in the pandemic. They denied that they had the capability or the software, and they left it up to the provinces to develop their own, which is what Alberta and British Columbia tried. But they were not successful. So, about a month later, the federal government of Canada announced that they did indeed have this software to track the spread, and they wanted to use it to track the spread of COVID-19 using Bluetooth devices, and that this software was being reviewed personally by our privacy commissioner. Now, if this all sounds shady to you, you're not alone. Many people are and continue to remain skeptical of the government's intentions and believe that this is a slippery slope towards a surveillance state, except we are much closer to the bottom of that slippery slope than you might realize. And let me break it down for you, okay? 1 second. Go on your internet right now. A Google search can tell you that in Canada, the end user license agreement, that thing that everybody presses I agree to without knowing what it actually does, that agreement is a contract that allows many antivirus software developers in Canada to give CSIS permission to have a wide open backdoor into your device. Look on your computer if you have one. Go to your program file folder or whatever the fuck ever. Find your antivirus program. Look through all of those folders, and I can guarantee that if you're using McAfee, you will see folders that say CSIS. I'm not bullshitting. Bet you didn't know that one, huh? But it's legal, and it's out there, and you accepted it. That was a contract you signed. Bet you didn't know that, huh? So why would they need to do that? Yeah, that's right. Canada's spy agency, they have access to all your pornography, your research papers, your downloaded MP3s, your video game torrents, your Google searches for assassinating the Prime Minister, you name it. And they can do this because you gave them permission just by using your computer or your phone or your tablet. And if you think, I'll just turn it off, that's not good enough. Because you see, they can turn on sections of your phone remotely. It's true. Using your SIM card that your phone needs just to do anything. And with many new phones now permanently sealing the batteries inside the phone, there is literally no way for you to guarantee it is actually off, even if you look at it, because they can simply stop power from going to your screen. This is all possible. I know how to fucking do it. I don't, but I know how to. Now, 2 out of 4 of you are probably asking, why do we need this app then if they can already do this? The answer is simple. The public's support and trust. Okay? Now, let's listen really carefully, please. The government made it clear to those who were paying attention that they did not want to release knowledge of this capability. They wanted to keep the Bluetooth tracking software a secret even during the pandemic. But keeping secrets erodes confidence, especially during a state of emergency. If we know they can do this and they still try to hide it, it suggests an ulterior motive. So people beat this system by leaving their devices away from them, thus defeating the purpose of contact tracing. Or in the most extreme cases, they'll get rid of their devices and go back to the old school. Now, obviously, the former is more likely, which then damages the reliability of the data that they're collecting. So if we agree to this capability being used just for the pandemic, it will help our doctors and medical workers get ahead of the future COVID-19 waves that they're predicting is inevitable. You know what history teaches you? The first wave is bad, the second wave is worse, the third is just as bad as the first. And in a way, I think Edward Snowden understood this. He knows that most people don't care if their data is being collected. It's been happening for years and without our knowledge, and nothing has happened. They're not encroaching on us. However, he also believes that those who don't want this should be able to opt out, and I agree with that too. Or there should be a nationwide discussion on how much reach we want our government to have. You know? While I understand the need for secrecy when it comes to national security, we live in the information age. And there are a lot of things that our government keeps secret that everybody knows anyway. And the government constantly denying a well-known truth erodes trust when it's needed. In a weird way, one person that agrees with myself and Edward Snowden is Donald Trump. Really? Who just now announced yesterday that he wants to consider giving Edward Snowden a full presidential pardon so he can return to the United States without consequence. Donald Trump is quoted as saying that a lot of people, both on the left and the right, are divided on what to do with Snowden. And to be honest, so am I. Because on one hand, the information he leaked was absolutely necessary for the people to be aware of because the program itself was shitting on our constitutional rights and freedoms and our right to privacy. On the other hand, some of the intelligence did expose the locations of American safe houses abroad, and people have died because of that. But on the other hand, pardoning Snowden may encourage other whistleblowers to leak information, which is bad for national security. On the other hand, it also could potentially encourage potential whistleblowers to not go to places like Russia with their secrets first. So what does that have to do with any of us? Everything. Everything. You do not want to be in the Soviet Union. I've shown you pictures of people that come from Kazakhstan when it was a Soviet ally. They nuked their allies just to test what happens. Now, NATO is not exactly a prince either. But at the very least, you have the power to do something about it. Your vote does count. Why do you think they go through so much efforts to lie to you? You think they would do that if it didn't matter what the fuck you thought? Come on. Now, what I believe, we have a problem in Canada because while there are government secrets that are good to keep, we have other secrets that, why? For 400 years, we did not admit to having the residential schools officially. And in fact, many people don't know or notice, and I was guilty of this as well, that in 2008, it was Stephen Harper, the conservative prime minister, who brought up the possibility of these residential schools and apologized if it happened. Justin Trudeau afterwards apologized for it in fact happening. But we have no statute like Americans do that certain secrets that is already public knowledge can be brought forward. We don't have that. I think we need some sort of civilian body who is fully aware of foreign ramifications of disclosing bad secrets and comparing that with the general public knowledge in the information age. They should be able to liaise with CSIS to determine what can be declassified now in the information age. What do they need to keep and why? You can involve the courts too if you want to. But I think that this would help, even now in this pandemic and for future shit to come. This was a combination of the Ministry of Truth and the old asshole mode activated. Part 3, Operation Arcane Chaos. Head up, eyes and ears open. Pay attention, people. Let's do this.